Hey, ladies, welcome back to Black Women Making Money, home of the upwardly mobile Black woman. Y'all know we call upwardly mobile Black women UMBWs over here. This is Black Women Making Money. If you are looking at our YouTube page, you'll see a new banner up there. We're still going to be talking about the same stuff, though. We're going to talk about how to make more money, how to manage and budget your money, how to multiply your money. And of course, every once in a while we'll throw in a little bit of mercenary dating and raising Nepo babies, because that's what we are all about here. I'm going to put on the 90-second clock, give us a chance to come in. We are going to talk about Greed. I know this controversy is a couple of months old, but y'all know your girl Cheree always has a unique take on things. And MentorShelly is here with us tonight to discuss this topic as well. So here's the 90-second clock, and then we're going to get started. Welcome to Black Women Making Money. We are the home of the upwardly mobile Black woman. To receive our free weekly newsletter, where we include one tip every week to help you on your upwardly mobile journey, please visit bwmakingmoney.com. That's bwmakingmoney.com. MentorShelly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? My screen is frozen here, so I am at a bit of a disadvantage, but that's okay. I have another way to see everybody's
Okay.
comments right now. I have been having. I'm going to have to get another computer.
Uh-oh.
But I see so many people in the chat. Give us a like. Say hello to both Mentor Shelley and I. Well, hopefully my uh, thing gets unfrozen here. So, Mentor Shelley, how have you been?
Been great, working on some things and behind the scenes and I've been putting out, content here and there and working on revising some of my offers on the corporate side. But yeah, I am doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. I am great. Thank you. I have been focused on my mortgage business. I
Yes.
shifted from like one path that I was going down to another path, which is really good for me. It's going to be less stress on me and hopefully more money over the next 24 months. And yeah, things are going okay on this side. So ladies, just to let you know, we will be back on Sundays at 5 p.m. I am going to invite a woman to come up with me, a Black woman, UMBW. every Friday, sorry, every Sunday or most Sundays at 5 p.m. We're going to sometimes talk about hot topics. Other times we're going to talk about something that I think will help all of us. But yeah, super excited. I also sent an email out earlier this afternoon. So I hope that everyone got a chance to read it.
Uh-oh.
All right. You hear me
Yes.
now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It finally like recalibrated and did whatever it
Okay.
needs to do. So hello to Malika. Hello, hello. And don't forget to hit the like button as you come in. Yes, ladies, thank you so much. Shar is in the building. I miss all of you so much. I actually
Mhm.
thought about all of my UMBWs like almost every day. Y'all have no idea how much I've missed you. Torian Dreams is in the building. Baby girl T is saying, hey. Yes, please sign up for exclusive content. We are going to start the newsletters again, bwmakingmoney.com. Um, Thank you, baby girl T, saying glad to see we are back. Adrian is in the building. Purple Rain is here. Hello, hello. And yes, please like the video. That was me saying that. You're saying, woohoo, yes, Malika, we are going to be back. We are definitely going to be in the building. Um, moving forward with our mission. So, yes, please like, please share, please comment, please invite a friend or two. Put a one in the chat if you have heard of Emma Greed. Put a one in the chat if you have heard of Emma Greed and the whole controversy that happened with Emma Greed. It's been about a couple of months now. Um, I will let you know, MentorShelly. You can let me know if you know about Emma Greed and what you know about her. But I actually heard of Emma Grede about 2 or 3 years ago because I used to listen to a woman who talked about different money making things that she saw online. And it's not Erica, but it was a woman who was talking about how these different online influencers were influencing people. So she talked a lot about psychology and she talked about how they were making money. And one of the people she consistently talked about, well, the family, the Kardashians, she consistently talked about them. And she talked about this woman named Emma Grede. And I was like, okay, interesting. I never bothered to look until all of a sudden Emma started showing up in my YouTube feed because she started a podcast. And I have to admit, she is one of my favorite podcasters because of the kinds of questions that she asks. She asks successful women like how they got into business and what they're doing and things like that. And I happen to like her interview style. So I was aware of her before the whole controversy, before the book came out, etc. We have here people saying that yes, they've heard of Emma Grede. So hello, how we learn and grow. Good to see you again, baby girl. T is saying yes, Purple Rain. Torian Dreams is saying yes, y'all have heard of Emma. So we're going to get to that Purple Rain. We definitely are. But before I
Mhm.
Mentor Shelley, have you
Mhm.
heard of Emma Grede? If so, how were you introduced to her?
It was a clip in passing, maybe I think it was a year or two ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, being an immigrant myself, the first thing said, "Oh, she's from England,
Mm-hmm.
and she has parents. One of the parents is like, I think her father, if I'm not mistaken, is like half Jamaican, half Trinidadian or something. So already that
She,
piqued my
she
interest.
correct. She corrected that. She has her biological father is Trinidadian and her stepfather is Jamaican and her mother is white.
Okay, all
Mm-hmm.
right, I got you. Okay, so I said, okay, well that explains the how she looks, but and then some of the things that was in that clip, it was, I of course start reading about what she was seeing and hearing or what she was saying, and she was saying things like, like success, and you have to put yourself in rooms and work harder, and of course,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the a lot of the things that, we're not afraid of hard work around here, but how you do it
Mhm.
and who you do it with makes a huge difference. So then, when she said something in regards to, what was the specific clip that working from home is going to tank your career?
And we're going to talk about that, so don't
Yeah,
give too much of it away.
right. That part piqued my interest. Number one, I'm going to reserve my opinions for later on, but
Mhm.
that was like, wait a minute, where are you going with this? And unfortunately, people have opinions about work from home or working independently or not being, being location independent when you're doing the work that you do. If you're
Mhm.
valued enough, it doesn't matter. But in certain sectors, they still go by the old adage of old boys clubs being in proximity, all those things. And she does talk about those things, from what I understand now, to an extent. I don't engage with her content all that much, but I did hear some clips, and then her recent interview with Kiki.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah,
We're going to break down her Kiki Palmer
hmm
interview. Mhm.
yeah. So is making rounds. So
Mhm.
I'm very interested in where this discussion goes today, because I mean, nobody is 100% right or wrong. It's one of those adages of, eat the meat and spit out the bones type of situation when it comes to most of these people that
Mhm.
that are online, or that's giving information, or that's touting wisdom, so to speak. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, Level Up Single Mom, I have been watching some of your content. I've been kind of quiet, but I've been seeing your. I catch some of your replays. So good to see you here. And Black Widow Row is in the building. Thank you so much. Hello to Black Widow Row. Okay, so I will say that I have a controversial take based on the way that a lot of Black women responded to Emma's advice. And y'all know over here we are nuanced.
mhm.
So I do have specific advice with, well, a specific perspective with regards to what Emma said and why I think she's right, and we're going to come to that. We are going to do a couple of things today. We are going to watch a really quick short about who Emma Grede is. I see some of y'all are putting stuff in the chat already. We're going to talk a little bit about her husband,
Ugh.
and how
Mhm.
she got started. Yes, we can talk about the pretty privilege. I'm not going to show that short, but she did make a comment about the fact that she acknowledges she has pretty privilege, which is um, helpful with regard to the discussion. She rejected the fact that her husband made her. I have some things to say about that. Yes. And once we watch the short, then I'll have the discussion about that.
All right.
And we are going to break down parts of actually a lot of the Kiki Palmer interview. I've watched probably about 4 or 5 interviews that Emma Grede did because she was on this whole press tour
Right.
online, and
Mhm.
she made the Today Show and things like that. But I felt like the Kiki Palmer one was the best one for us to go over because, in my opinion, Kiki's audience is the Black woman, the UMBW. So the stuff that Emma was sharing there, even though it's all rehearsed and things like that, people took it to be that she was really targeting UMBWs with this specific content. So before we go any further, some of you may be wondering who this woman is. I know Malika said she had never heard of her. So here you go, Malika. We are going to talk about who Emma Grede is.
This woman made $300 million by helping the Kardashians build businesses. Meet Emma Grede, the mastermind behind some of the biggest Kardashian-backed businesses. In 2015, Emma was working at a talent agency, brokering celebrity deals when she met Khloe Kardashian. The two connected, and in 2016, Emma pitched her an idea, an inclusive denim brand called Good American, designed for every body shape. Khloe loved it. They launched, and Within the first hour, Good American made over $1 million in sales. The brand quickly expanded into activewear and ready-to-wear, and by last year, it was generating $200 million in revenue. In 2019, Emma saw another gap, shapewear. Traditional options were uncomfortable, so she teamed up with Kim Kardashian to launch Skims, a brand for all body sizes. Emma joined as a founding partner and chief product officer. Once again, it was a massive hit, and today Skims is valued at $4 billion. In 2021, she joined Kris Jenner to create Safely, a plant-based cleaning brand. Yet another success. Today, Emma owns 8% of Skims, 23% of Good American, and 22% of Safely, with a net worth of $300 million.
Mhm.
Okay, so that was the first thing. What Emma has done is something in marketing that I was told was called parasite marketing. I was introduced to that many, many years ago. Parasite marketing is basically when you are a parasite. You basically suck the blood out of somebody else. Basically, she teamed up with one Kardashian, and what the short didn't say was before she teamed up with the Kardashians, she had an agency that paired brands, especially failing or stagnant brands, together with celebrities.
Celebrities.
So that's how she actually got started, right? So she knew all of these celebrities and she knew all these brands anyway. And then she decided, hey, and it was her idea. So I did listen to enough to know this wasn't Chloe's idea, right? It was her idea to create these jeans, but she needed a spokesperson for it, and Chloe was the best spokesperson. And probably Kim was like, well, I want something too. And Kris was like, well, I want something too. And that's how you got three different brands. But that last sentence that I said is just Cheree being messy and speculating. But one of the things that I want us as UMBWs to recognize is this, a lesson we can learn from Emma Grede, is that we should also be aligning ourselves with people who can help us make more money, with people who can help us monkey branch. I know I haven't been here in a while, but monkey branching is basically us being able to move up socioeconomically. And I've always said that we cannot move up socioeconomically unless we are have skills and networks. And the networks is what helped Emma Grede get to 300 million. Whether the network was her husband and his business partner, as many of you have talked about, yes, Purple Rain. She, so she's claiming that he was not rich. But I did some research on his parents. His father was or is a famous director in Sweden, and his mother is a famous actress in Sweden. And they weren't able to give me his net worth, but her net worth was anywhere from 2 million to 48 million. So, yes, she married well, right? Even though my issue with people online is that everyone wants to pretend like they started from the bottom. And one of the things that irked my nerves, and I talked about this a while ago when we talked about Grant Cardone, is that when other communities say they started from the bottom, and other communities say they weren't rich, that is not the same as when Black people say they started from the bottom and we weren't rich. We add our definition on to what they're saying, and they're talking about something completely different. So, yes, she did marry rich, but marrying rich, being strategic in that is like, if you're able to do it, it can help. It can help you grow a $300 million network. So, MentorShelly, what are your
I mean,
thoughts?
I'm not mad at the monkey branching. Let's be clear. Get your money. But what I don't necessarily appreciate is the I started from the bottom, because you didn't.
Mhm.
Let's be honest. Because if she wasn't married or connected to the right people, how would she get in rooms with people like that? How did that start? How did her first idea start?
Mm-hmm.
Did she not? Did she already have the network, or did she work her way into the network?
So she did work her way into the network, according to her. But I have to admit, her early mid childhood to beginning adulthood is a little weird to me,
Uh-huh.
because she made it, or she did say, she said that she grew up in a poor part of London, but that her mother worked at Morgan Stanley. And I'm like,
Oh.
wait a second. Like, son, like if I were interviewing her, like I need more details. And I don't know, maybe the book gives us more details. I don't know. But I've listened to like long hour and a half podcasts of her where she talks about the fact that she was the her mother was the dad, she was the mom, and she had three younger siblings, and they were the kids. And you know, but then she never interweaves how the Jamaican stepfather got into it. And then she'll throw like, oh yeah, my mom worked at Morgan Stanley. And I'm like, well, doing what? you know, because if your mother worked at Morgan Stanley, I don't know. Um, oh, her mom was a broker at Morgan. Hold on. Tori and Dream is saying her mom was not as bad off as she tried to make it seem as well. Her mom was a broker at Morgan Stanley. Thank you so much for answering that, Tori and Dreams, because when I see, this is why I listen to people carefully, and I'm like, there are holes in your story. In your story. I was like, how in the world does your mother work at Morgan Stanley and y'all live on the worst side of this, and you don't know this and you don't know that or the third, you know? So anyway, MentorShelly, got, we got an answer there. Morgan Stanley is a bulge bracket. Yes, exactly. So she basically started off on, let's say, second base, right? You
Right.
know, wasn't completely rich, but she started off on second base. Okay,
Right.
MentorShelly, you got anything else to say?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that she didn't work hard. I'm sure she bust her tail. Let's be clear. Because just based on how she looks, she may get into some rooms, but she's not gonna get into all the rooms. So whatever else she had to do to make something shake, she'd had to do to make something shake. Which she used what she had, and she used the network she had, and she made the deal she made. She's very successful because
Mm-hmm.
of the pitches that she put forth and who she pitched to. I'm not saying that, because if I had the opportunity to do it, why not? At the end of the day, if it's marketed right and you're marketing to the right people, you have the right story attached to it, which is why her backstory is a little it has some holes in there, but if you tell that story enough to the right audience, people are going to gravitate towards it based on how they identify themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
of course, if you say you're starting from the bottom, we translate it to one thing, versus somebody else hearing that, they might translate it to something else, because starting from the bottom means different things to different people. So we have to acknowledge that yes, she did work hard, but she did not start off at I'm struggling.com.
Mm-hmm.
So
There are some people who start behind the pitcher's mound, some people who start in the dugout, some people who start in the locker room. That is not this woman. Okay.
no.
She started off on second base.
Right.
She had certain privileges. Um, Now, did she work hard? Yes, absolutely. You can only get so far on pretty looks in 2026. Yes, absolutely. But um, we as UMBWs need to stop being ashamed of the privilege that we had and have. I, for example, Cheree started off probably on second base as well, right?
Mhm.
I went to, I was born to two great parents. I was born to a great family, like extended family. Like I know who my heritage is and what my heritage is.
Mhm.
I had a very strong grandmother, very strong great grandmother who raised me, who put me into language classes and horseback riding classes and swimming classes and, stuff that when I became 25 was very useful to me, but I didn't know why they were putting me in certain rooms when I was 8, 10, 12,
Right.
15 years old. I went to a great college. I got my master's. I shouldn't have because of the college debt, but whatever. But I have a master's degree. Uh, I I could read for comprehension. My grandmother was a junior high principal, teacher, and then principal. So like we very much not just had an education environment where it was just all talk. It was like very much put into action as well.
Right.
And MentorShelly, I don't know if you're seeing there are kids these days who are graduating from high school who can't read and who can't write.
That's diabolical to me.
Yes. And they are going to be at a much, much greater disadvantage. And, when we were growing up, you and I are around the same age. If somebody was dyslexic, they dealt with that. But everybody else, if you weren't dyslexic or something like that, if you like got a B, it's because you deserved a B. Now you get a B. I don't know if you can read.
It's like they're handing out grades. Yeah, you can.
Yes.
You, be honest.
Can I be mean?
It's okay.
All right. So I feel horrible. No, I'm gonna take a step back. Horrible is not the word. I wonder if, and I'm going to use a person's name here, but it's the only person I could think of right now. The Carmelo Anthony story. No matter what side of the fence that you're on, I definitely have an opinion about it. But everyone keeps throwing out that he's a 3.7 GPA student, and I just keep scratching my head. Like, I'm going to need more proof that he's this super genius, smart young man.
Well, I'll say this. He may be book smart, but maybe not street smart, which is what he needed in that situation.
Yeah. But I can't even trust the news or Benjamin Crump or whomever. And it doesn't even have to be him. It could be anybody. When they say, oh, this, young Black person was a 3.8 GPA. And I'm like, I can't trust that. I can't trust that like I used to be able to 20 years ago. So, but that's part of my conspiracy theory. Let's watch something else, MentorShelly. And I did see somebody else asking if they could come up. We have like quite a bit to go through this evening. Hey, Fresh Progress. We have quite a bit to go through this evening, so we're not going to let anybody up right now. But keep putting your comments into the chat, and we're just going to have a good discussion this evening. If we have time left over, then we'll bring you up in order to talk further. So let us look at this here. This is about Emma Grede is not talking to everybody. She's talking to the 1%. And I want to show this as well.
Threads, and I said that Emma's speaking to the 1% and baby got dragged. When I say Emma isn't talking to you. She's not. She's talking to a very few select of women. Y'all, I hopped on Threads and I said that Emma's speaking to the 1% and baby got dragged. When I say they jumped me with their homegirls, they did. And when I said 1%, y'all, I did not mean in terms of bank account. I meant 1% in terms of work ethic. Baby, that went over their head. 1% in terms of work ethic, meaning a woman who's willing to outwork anyone to build something bigger than herself. That's what extraordinary success looks like and not mediocrity. And that's exactly who she's talking to.
Okay. I wanted to get your opinion on that as well. That and we are going to talk about some of the things that Emma believes, but that she's not speaking to everybody. She's speaking to the top 1% or the people who want to be at the top 1%. What do you think, MentorShelly, about this woman's comments?
I might have some understanding as to why she said that. But 1% in terms of what though? I mean,
Well, I think she's talking about people who want to be 1% in terms of net worth and in terms of being in the C-suite. Like the
okay.
C-suite of, let's say, a business that's doing more than $20 million a year, like that 1%.
I mean, the 1%, the 1%. So she's talking about straight economics at this point.
Mhm.
Or 1% of that. That's a
It's
question I also had. Purple Rain. 1% of who? 1% of
mhm.
business owners that's earning, the 2, 3, 4, $10 million a year. 1% of the people that are in corporate, that are in middle management, that's trying to get to C-suite, upper management, and executive level. 1% of blue collar business owners that are earning in that area. What 1% of what? And I think part of it is that when she was talking, I think she had some idea of the 1%, and she touched on a few, but she didn't really define what the 1% that she was referring to was.
Mhm.
And I think that was part of why maybe people took her message and they communicated based on what they thought the 1% was. And she
Yeah.
probably got dragged half the time because she made a video of that sort. So when I hear 1% initially, I'm thinking 1% as far as economics. How you get there can be in varied ways, through your career, through investments, through business ownership, through maybe you're managing a fund, through real estate investment. It just depends. The one As far as economics are concerned, then that's usually where my mind goes first when you
Yeah,
talk
I
1%.
thought she meant she's talking to the people who want to get to the 1%, because like Purple Rain said,
Mhm.
the current C-suite person, like a Melody Hobson, for example, is not looking to immigrate nor to stay in the C-suite. You're absolutely right about that. But
Mhm.
it is for the girly, because she does focus on women. It
Mhm.
is for the girly who is like, hey, I want to be CEO of a $10 million company, or I want to be CFO of a $25 million company, or I want to launch this fragrance brand and get it to, you know, 50 million in sales. Like that is the person who she is speaking to. Um, and the reason that I wanted to show that to you is because if that's not you, that's okay. She's not speaking to you. She's not speaking to me, for example, because I'm already in the C-suite of a small business, and I don't have the hustle to want to work 90 hours a week and, and hobnob and all of that. I network, but that's different than hobnobbing. And like I'll tell you a real example, MentorShelly. I
Mhm.
met this guy at a networking event, and he does home loans for people who are like ultra wealthy.
Right.
And he was telling me, like, yeah, I have to go on like Friday, and this guy is taking me on his boat to do XYZ, and we're, smoking cigars and things like that. And like he was telling me these different stories, and he was telling the truth, right? And
Mhm.
I'm like, I have no interest in that. No, I don't want to go on your boat and smell cigar smoke and hobnob and all of that. Like that's not me, right? So
Right.
there are things that Emma Green will say that I agree with if that's you.
Right.
If you want to get in the top 1%, there are things that Emma's saying that, yes, are correct if that's you. But if that's not you, it could be the reason why her advice was turning certain people off. It's because
Mhm.
that's not you. Just like that's not me.
Right.
Like I want to make above average income, but there are certain things I'm not willing to do. There are other people who will listen to her say, you only have to spend 3 hours a weekend with your kids, and say, that's not me. No, I'm not going to have anybody else raise my children, right? I want to be in my kids' lives and things like that. So I'll throw it back to you, Mentor Shelley, before we get started in the Kiki Palmer interview.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of what she says, you have to keep in mind, folks, she's a whole human being with opinions and all the things, and she says things based on where she is, her frame of mind, her setup, her life, her structure, and what she's dealing with at the time. Not because she's a $300 million business owner of several businesses. That doesn't mean what comes out of her mouth is gospel. As I said at the beginning, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Not everything that she says is applicable to you or is irrelevant to you. You just have to understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you. The work from home thing, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now we're actually going to come to the Kiki Palmer interview. So, ladies, you will only see this picture up here because I don't want to copyright strike, but you'll hear the interview. So, you know how Kiki Palmer sounds, and the lady who sounds British is Emma Green. So you'll be able to tell who the voices are. But let's listen to, because I didn't want to just play it in 30-second spurts. I wanted to like play in a complete thought and then have us respond. So the first thing we're going to listen to is the conversation they had about education versus real world experience. All right. And I'm going to start it here.
I'm so happy for you. It's a blessing. So after initially enrolling in London College of Fashion, you left before graduation to pursue your career. How did you know that was the right decision for you, especially in a society? I mean, I'm sure it's the same in London, definitely in America. School is very much pushed as the only gateway to success. Yeah. Thoughts are different now, but especially back then.
I couldn't afford it. It just came down to the fact that I was in school. I'd left home for many, many different reasons, but I wasn't getting on with my mum, and she was like, well, then you can get out. And I couldn't afford to go to school every day. I had to work. And in my mind, I had such a dream of working in fashion that I wasn't really willing to sacrifice my dream, but I couldn't have both. And so it was just one of those things where I had to go, well, what do you do? Right. At the moment, I can see there's a job here that's kind of in fashion that pays me, or there's school. And so I had to go where the money was. And it wasn't an easy decision. But when I look back on it, I really said to myself, okay, I'm going to split this idea of work and learning. And so I did like a year and a half of internship. So I kind of, if you got 7 days, I would do 3 that I worked for free and be paid for the other 4. So in my mind, I was like, I'm still learning. I'm keeping my foot in. I'm working towards what I wanted to do. But it was probably the hardest 18 months of my life because I had no money, like my wage just about paid for my train ticket. And it was tough. It was a very difficult time. I was living in a high rise in East London. I kept my milk on the balcony because I didn't have a fridge. I didn't have a stove.
And what the balcony was doing?
Well, it's keeping it cold. In England, it's cold. And, the milk would go a little funny, but I'd be like, it don't matter. It's okay in a tea, like you just do what you have to do. It's like you just
That is so funny.
It's the truth.
What would you say to young people that are wrestling with that conversation with themselves, whether they should go to school, if they should actually just get out there and get some real life experience?
Okay, so that was part 1 of what I wanted us to hear. MentorShelly, she made a couple of points I'm going to talk about, but what did you think about that first piece of education versus real world experience? Again, holes in her story. Okay. We kind of talked about that before, but, and ultimately her talking about, and this is specifically, I want to share this with younger ladies who are trying to get in an industry where they may have to take an internship, or people who are reinventing themselves, and you may have to take a free position for a little bit in order to get the skills and networks you need to monkey branch. What are some of your thoughts with regards to that?
Well, the industry she's going in doesn't necessarily require a degree. Let's make that clear. Fashion is more of a vibe and what you can create, how creative you are as a person, more so, and getting in the right rooms and getting the right deals can really set you up for success in that specific industry. So let's start there. And 2, she had some economic issues there because she looked like she left home in not so great circumstances and kind of was out there trying to stand on her own and make it on her own. I think that's kind of where I'm what I'm picking up from what she was saying, that she worked 7 days a week but only got paid for a certain amount because it was partially an internship, and she's working her way up. And in that
Mhm.
industry, you can definitely go far if you're working your way up in the right places. um that's not can't be translated across all industries, because there's a whole lot of liability that's in the back end of some other industries, but fashion isn't one of them.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any money to go to school in London. I'm sure that I don't know what the how colleges are set up in London versus the US, but from what I from the information that I know, or I know I have relatives that live in England, there's some of that schooling that is actually paid for. I don't know if it's still like that, but I know in the past that in the UK that there's a portion of their college that can be covered by the government. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it's because of the what you decided to go to school for, why that kind of assistance wasn't available, or maybe things have changed. But from what I understand, there's portions of college that can be paid for by the government. So um, making that choice between education and going for it as far as an internship or working for free till you can get paid with that industry, I would definitely say go for the internship, because they appreciate and they value your experience and knowing the right people more than they value the actual, like degree or certification or things of that nature.
Mhm.
For the industry that she's in, it's more valuable to have the experience and direct experience.
Yeah, and
Other
I didn't
industries,
even think about it like that,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
I do know that she said that the 3 days that she was, or 4 days that she was getting paid, she
Mhm.
worked at a deli and she made sandwiches. And she was talking about the fact that she focused on like her craft of making the best sandwich possible. And her mindset has always been, whatever I'm going to do, I want to be the best at it. And I'll admit, when I was in college, I was a pizza maker. Believe it or not, on campus, I was a pizza maker. And I did that like, I only think I worked there once a week. Um, but the oven was broken. And I would, like most people, would just put the pizza through the oven one time and it would come out raw looking and nobody would eat the pizza. But whenever I was there, I like it would come out once and then I would push it back halfway,
Mhm.
and the extra cooking or baking or whatever of the pizza made it really crisp. And every time I was there, like the pizza was always gone, right? And I related to that because I am also the kind of person, like whatever I'm doing, I want to do my best at it, to the point where people are like, "What day do you work again?" Yeah, I'm coming like every day, every day that you work here
Oh,
because, like the pizza's good.
okay. Well, that's good.
So yeah, and it's not about the pizza at the end of the day. It is about, and she is right about this. It is about like whatever you're going to do, giving it 100%,
Mhm.
putting love and care into it. I wasn't thinking love and care. I was just thinking like, I wouldn't want to eat this pizza half raw. So I'm not going to serve it to anybody else like this either.
Right.
But I do think that there is something to that. The other thing is that I, yes, I agree that fashion is a profession where you don't need a degree, and there are other professions where you do need a degree.
Mhm.
But I also think for many professions, sometimes professions we don't even think about that we want to join, there is a way for us to be an apprentice
Mhm.
and get paid to learn, or
Mhm.
there's a way for us to be an intern. And maybe you work a full-time job and then you go there a couple of days a week in order to assist with whatever that is, in order for you to get your foot in the door and build those skills and networks and just be around the energy of that specific industry. I think there is something there for the UNDW.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, well, listen to the second part. This is about being a people pleaser, being a people pleaser. And
Oosh. Yeah.
yeah, give me 1 second. My oh, no, no, no. Please act right, computer. I keep saying I'm going to have to get a new computer. This poor thing is just
Oh
on
boy.
its last leg. Yeah. It's I'm glad that you're all are able to hear me, but it's just like uh my thing is not responding now. So if we can't okay, I think it's back.
All right. Is it
It's
allowing you
just
to do it?
yeah.
Work was hard for me and everything just
Oh, there
felt
it is.
clunky. And so I think that what you have to do is really know yourself. Like, it's not like I'd said, okay, let me just go and do nothing. I was like, okay, how am I going to supplement my learning? And one of the things that I really believe about myself is I'm always in learning mode, Kiki. It's
Yes.
like wherever I am, I'm going to be learning. And so it's like, if the traditional education system isn't for you, then you've got to figure out what is for you. You can't just go and like throw it to the wind and expect something to happen. You've got to engineer a situation that is going to give you what you're losing over here. So I'm like, then engineer that situation, but don't wait for anyone else. And that's what Start With Yourself is about. I'm not ever looking for somebody to come and hand me something. I'm going to craft a situation for myself, regardless of what's happening. So you got to do that.
How do people find this in themselves? What are the things or the practices that have been a part of your life that have allowed you to actually know your voice? Because this is like someone knowing their voice. And I find this very difficult when I'm talking to people that are trying to build a brand or just trying to engineer their life. They don't even know how to get to the truth of what they're asking for. They're still stuck at money, fame, and not having to worry about, like, it's the surface stuff, not what really drives them. How do we get there?
So I think there's a couple of pieces of this. The first one is, and you know this, as you get older, your job becomes like how you get closer to yourself. And what I mean by that is to understand, like, who am I and what makes me happy? What are the things that I uniquely do well? And I think because I grew up like really fast, right? Because I was a parent by the time I was 12, I learned that a little bit quicker. And so you can't be trying to please other people. You know, I always talk about this idea of you can't be a people pleaser and a leader. So when you're trying to lead yourself, it has to be similar. It's got to come from the things that are true for you. And that idea of always chasing what feels glossy, what feels like, you know, interesting is not always the truth of what you really want. So the first thing that you've got to do is get down to like, what is it that I really want? And then a healthy dose of realism, because it takes a long time. And what I talk about, and the reason I said that question of like the reality of the work, I want to show like how long it takes, because I've had a job since I was 12 years old. I'm 43 now. And everyone's like, oh, look at her. But it's like, yeah, do you know what I did? Like, let me take you through the journey. And also I think just knowing that it is a journey. Life has chapters. And so you might just be in a chapter where, you know, the chapter's actually about like this kind of hard landing where things don't all work out for you. And then you'll move into another chapter where actually the groundwork that you laid here does something over here. But I don't know anyone who's an overnight success. And if they are, they're gone tomorrow. So it's better to do the slow and steady.
It is. And what you're saying is so true, because
Okay. She did talk about like, and I think that part of it is as you get older and older, you discover like what is important to you. When you are 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, sometimes you're just trying a whole bunch of stuff, you know? But by the time you are 26, 28, 30, like us, 50, you know, you're like, okay, I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I'm not here to, like, I will work, you know, with people, but there's certain things I'm not going to accept. And the final thing that she said in there that I really want to touch on was, uh, you can't be a people pleaser if you're leading yourself. Like, leaders are not people pleasers. And the first person that we need to lead are ourselves, you know? Because if we don't do that, if we don't know who we are and what we want, we'll allow anybody to say something to us and we just go like the wind, flapping like the wind. So, MentorShelly, what are some of your thoughts with regards to this?
I completely agree. As far as in order for you to be a leader, you have to be able to lead yourself and others. And in doing so, you can't be wishy-washy with every, which way somebody else goes. Oh, no, I'm going to go over here. No, I'm going to do this. You have to have your own, direction and what it is that you want, and not be afraid to go after it. And, and whether opinions be opinions, you can go do what you got to do. Now, if you need to make some changes and some pivots, that's something different. But you know what you need to do. So, as Miss Purple Rain says, stand on business and handle your business. So
That's
speak.
right. That's right. I see a couple of people in here. Maintain Fatal is in here. Hello. The social media insurance brother himself is in here. Salute to you. And Miss Notary World earlier this evening. I hope you're still in here, Notary World. Good to see you as well. So, yeah, the big thing is, again, like, UMBWs aren't people pleasers. And I think that a lot of Black women are getting off of that train, which I'm happy to see. I really am happy to see that. Okay, let's go to the next topic that she's going to talk about. We're almost to the controversial topic. She talks about the fact that I like cash money. So let's hear a couple of minutes of what she's talking about here, because she actually does have a larger point that MentorShelly, I really want to hone in on this with you about. So let's hear what she has to say.
There was, like, based on this, understanding of what is beautiful and what is going to make sense for most customers. And so I came at it from a very, very different place.
I mean, and the demand has been clearly there since day one. I mean, when you talk about Good American, it did $1 million in sales the first day. Skims generated $2 million in minutes. And I mean, both of them are $3 billion for Good American, and Skims $5 billion.
I mean, there's a lot of numbers. What I like is, cash money. Like, I think the people always get, like, they're like, oh my goodness, these numbers, it's crazy.
Take us to Shark Tank, Rob.
Well, that's what matters, right? It's like, look, I think that especially the time that we're in now, people are bombarded by this idea that if it's not a unicorn, it's not worth it. Yeah. Like, I have a friend, and I love her. She's called Renata Quaglia, and she is Brazilian, and she's beautiful, and she makes these heavenly necklaces, and she sells them to the best stores in the world. And that's her business. That pays her. She employs like 4 or 5 like single mums in upstate New York, and they crochet these beautiful things for her. That's also a business.
Yes.
So I want to kind of get out of this idea that everything has to be $1 trillion to be worth it, because the idea of business is much less about the cash that you generate and much more about, like, what is my life? What is the freedom that affords you? What does this allow me to do? So it's like, yeah, it's great. I've done some things that have been very successful. I also had a ton of businesses that didn't do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, and somewhere in between that, it's like, yeah, I learned, and some things got good, but you can't engineer those things.
But I love this idea around visibility, because I speak a lot about this too, when I'm talking and people are asking me about business. Like, everybody doesn't have to love what you do for it to be successful. No. And success is defined by you. Are you making what your destination point was this year or that year?
100%.
Kiki just spoke a word there. So first of all, yes, I like cash money too. But what I heard in that section of the video is that, especially as UMBWs, we don't have to be unicorns. We don't have to be the person who is, so I'll just use my industry. I'm a mortgage loan officer. There are mortgage loan officers that close $1 billion a year in mortgages. I don't want that, because I don't want that kind of headache, right? And then, Emma was talking about, but she's got a great friend who supports 5 families, 5 women. I think she said 5 single mothers in upstate New York. That's a great thing too. That's a win. And the women who work for her, I'm sure, are grateful, beyond grateful, that they've got that opportunity. And if it's a good working environment, they've got that good working environment and that good flexibility. So we can get off the roller coaster train with regards to, if you're not making, I don't know, $30 million a year in your business, or if you're not making $150,000 a year in your job, that some sort of way you're like, missing the boat or off the train. Now, I want you to get to $150,000 a year because there's a certain amount of economic freedom that comes with that as a UMBW. But I don't want us to sacrifice the other things that are important in our lives for that number.
Right.
And that's what I was hearing. The final thing is Kiki said, her mic drop moment, everyone doesn't have to like what you do for you to be successful. If you're starting and running a business, you don't want everybody to like what you do. You want a certain segment of people, hopefully who have money and who want to pay you, to like what you do. I'm a mortgage loan officer. Not everybody likes me. I'm rejected more than people accept me. But guess what? There are people who I'm connected to who make $250,000 to $500,000 a year, and they get more rejection than they do acceptance. And that's okay. Right. So I thought that was definitely a mic drop moment from Kiki actually saying that. And I'm going to toss it over to you, MentorShelly, because I thought this was important for us to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. Because certain businesses is not for everybody. There are certain offers that are whether they're consulting offers, whether they're product offers, not every product is created for everybody. So if you're not going to be a paying customer, or you don't fit the demographic of who I am, I'm creating this product or service for, you could not like me till the cows come home. Do I care? No, because I'm not in credit for you. And there's going to be times where, as upwardly mobile Black women that's maybe starting something new or is looking to develop their business idea, and you might go to, Who Shot John, or you may say, oh, what do you think about this? And they may not like your idea, and that's okay. Opinions are like, everybody has one. So let's not be hung up on the opinions. Let's just know that if we have a business idea, make sure we use the proper research channels to make sure that it's a solid idea, and then start working to develop it. And, at the end of the day, if it's making cha-ching ching, who cares about other people's opinions? It's making money.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And we all know with business that if you try to create a product for everybody, then you're most likely not going to make any money. But when you're laser focused,
Yes.
then you're going to do very well, right?
Absolutely.
The same thing with jobs. Like, you don't have to know. It is great if you know, like, what various people are doing in your companies, right? Like if you have a W-2 job, you want to kind of know what other people are doing. But with the W-2, we want to be excellent at whatever the thing is that we're doing in order for us to be successful. Sometimes we get caught up as well, being W-2s and trying to be all over the place, and and it's easy. It's easier to be all over the place if you are in a smaller business than a bigger business, right?
Right.
Because bigger businesses have silos. But in a smaller business, oftentimes you're trying to be a jack of all trades. This is the point that I'm trying to make. You're trying to be a jack of all trades. And we have talked about promotable tasks here a lot. And we're going to continue to talk about that. And sometimes as W-2s in smaller businesses, we are not saying no enough to tasks that aren't promotable or tasks that are going to give us additional skills so that we can monkey branch, because that's important as well, right?
Right.
So let's play a little bit more here. We're almost to the controversial part, ladies, but there's so many gems in here that I do think Kiki and Emma are correct about. We want to say the stuff that she got right, and the stuff that Emma Greed is lying to us about. So we want to be we want to be fair. But this is another section that I really want to point something out here about the fact that they're going to say there's not one person in a company who's more important than the other. And the fact that teams make these $300 million net worth people, right? And having MentorShelly here, who is part of HR, and also helps with like your positioning, your career positioning within your industry. We're going to have a conversation about that. We've got about 2 minutes with this specific section. So let's hear it.
I want to dive into the celebrity of it all and why that was something that you want to lean into, and if you saw a lot of power in that. Because some people could say that's the whole power, but I don't imagine that to be true. So what are the pluses of working with people that have a name and a platform, and what are the things that are difficult about that you still have to do that nobody knows you're doing behind the scenes?
Totally. I mean, I'd spent 15 years before I started Good American, I had built a group of agencies, and that was the first company that I ever sold. So my business was working on behalf of brands and putting them together with celebrities. So there's no one who's done more celebrity deals than me. I put Natalie Portman into a Dior campaign, or Gwyneth Paltrow into Hugo Boss. Like, you know how this stuff works,
absolutely.
right? So I really understood how when talent comes into a brand, the acceleration can go like this. But at the end of the day, it's all down to product. And so I have a very good appreciation and understanding for how that kind of initial power that comes with that partnership really propels something. But no one comes back twice to buy a bad product. They don't. So it's like the business, the brand, the logistics, everything has to speak for itself. And what I do is build companies. And so I really think about the two things as being like beautiful and symbiotic, but you can't have one without the other. And the two things need to like fit together. And when you have great partnerships, it's amazing. It's like I've had good partnerships, I've had bad partnerships. I've been in lots and lots of different businesses that have done different kind of levels of greatness or have just kind of fallen down. And I can honestly say that there isn't one component where you could say, it was like that thing. It's always like the culmination of so many different things. And I always say, like a lot of people say, she's like the self-made this and the self-made that. Like, do you know how many people I work with every day? Do you know how many people? There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at my office, and every one of them matters. And so I think when you start at the bottom, you have a massive appreciation for what everybody does along the way. And there's no one piece that is more important than the other.
I wanted to specifically stop there with this conversation, because a great CEO and a great executive team recognizes that it's everyone who's a part of the team who makes that business grow, makes that, train move, that engine run, etc. I have always had the position with my UMBWs that you do not want to work in toxic environments.
No.
You want to focus on having the right skills and the right networks to get in the right environments. But the right environments are going to also bring out the best in you and your skill. Like, what's your individual skill? What's your individual brand? Even if you're an employee of that organization, there are certain organizations out there. I was looking around for the articles, but I couldn't find them, where you've got a multi-billionaire saying, if it weren't for my executive assistant, whom they're paying like $200,000 a year plus stock options to, if it wasn't for the executive assistant that they had, there'd be no way they could do their job, right? So, and that executive assistant became really, really great at that job. if you're a program manager, if you are an accountant, a CFO, whatever it is in the organization, like what's your personal brand? What's your personal skill? What is the thing that you're absolutely known for that when your boss leaves the company, they're like, I'm leaving, but I want to bring Shelly with me. Or I'm leaving, but I want to bring Notary World with me, right? Because I know that this person is great at this thing. And one of the things I think is important is like the importance of, even if you're a W 2, being known for something and working in an environment where people appreciate the gift that you bring in order to make that organization grow. And there are places that do that. But I know it sounds a little, little woo woo, but I think it's a very important thing for us to talk about. So, MentorShelly, what are your thoughts with regards to that?
No, that's not woo woo at all. Everybody has a reputation at work. What's yours? What is it that you have brought to the table? What is it not brought to the table, as in these silly dudes that ask that question when they're trying to start something with a woman? But but what you bring to the table, what is it that you're known for? Are you known for solving problems or causing them? Are you known for seeing things that other people don't see? Are you have you become indispensable to that organization yet? If you haven't done that yet, are you working on doing that? What is your reputation? What is your personal brand? Because personal brand has nothing to do with the place you work. What are you known for? Are you known for, well, let's look at it from this perspective. Maybe we can find a solution this way or that way. I'll put it to you this way. I was in a leadership training with the other leaders and some of our other leaders in the organization where I work, and in talking about some of the leadership aspects, as far as having strong communication skills and making sure documentation is paramount. A lot of tenets of leadership. We arrived at several issues that's actually going on in the work environment, and as leaders we were in the room discussing solutions to those problems, not just, oh, it's your job, it's not my job. No, together, if we find the right tools to solve this particular issue, then if this problem arises again, we have a tool to be able to solve it. For example, there's issues sometimes with we may get temporary employees that may have a language barrier, and in certain fields or certain industries, you can't request that the person outrightly speaks and understands English.
Mm-hmm.
There's some industries that can do that. There's some industries not so much. So do you have a tool, or it's either you hire a translator or you have some form of a tool to solve that problem? In that room, we all came together as leaders to address that particular situation with a specific tool or a device, not necessarily hiring a whole translator for the entire organization, but being able to use something else to be able to resolve that issue. Now, two heads are better than one, but at the end of the day, as a leader, as a person in corporate, no matter what position you hold, are you known to approach issues or problems in the organization from I want to solve the problem, let's try this, and this, or are you known to just bring up the problem? Any idiot can identify, any idiot can say, oh, we have a problem, and complain. Now, are you going to be the village idiot, or are you going to be the person that solves it? Or at least works together, maybe with someone else, or come up with solutions on your own and implement them and see what happens.
There are some places where you work where if you have a problem and you don't bring a solution while you're talking about the problem, that is either, well, it's frowned upon in those organizations, So yeah, The best kind of employees are the ones who will say, well, I have a problem. I'm thinking about this as a starter solution, but I'm not really quite sure. And then you're able to kind of come together, or have a group of people, like you said, come together in order to solve that issue. So,
Right.
yeah. Um, so, Purple Rain sounds like she's going through it. She was talking about some execs don't feel that way. They just take all the credit from their employees. This again,
Yep.
toxic environments. We are not
Yep.
talking about toxic environments. We are talking about, as much as possible, having your skills and your networks so you can get out of the toxic environments. But guess what? The places that aren't toxic typically will only hire the best of the best people. So your branding and your ability to deliver once you get there, and honestly, your ability to be likable. And I'm not saying Purple Rain that you're not likable. I'm just saying this is to everybody. It's just a general thing. It is more important for you to be liked than for you to be skilled. It is more important for you to be known than for you to be liked and you to be skilled. So people have to know, like, and trust you. And the first thing is they have to know who you are. So that's why I push the networking so much. All right, let's go to the next section, which is, I've labeled this Emma Greed is lying to us. Emma Greed is lying to us. Let's hear what she has to say, and then you will hear what I say of the lies she is telling. Here we go.
Different things. But I went out to dinner maybe 3 weeks ago with the 4 original people that started Good American. One of them has his own amazing marketing agency. He doesn't work for me anymore, but he does still take pictures of me because he's a really good photographer. One of them works in one of my businesses called Off Season. The other one works at Elder Statesman, and the other one works at Skims. And so it's really interesting when you look at like what happens to people. For me, first of all, it's always going to be about the product, what you are making. Like, forget about marketing. People get obsessed with marketing, obsessed with social. Whatever you do in the beginning has to be about the thing that you are going to sell, whether that's a digital product, a physical product. Make that the best thing that it can be, because when somebody gets that, the marketing's figured out for itself. They're going to tell their friend, they're going to tell their mom, who's going to tell somebody else, and this flywheel starts to happen. But that never happens unless you have something great in the beginning. So I like to focus the first people that come into the business as being those product people. Then you've got to be reflective. You got to say, what am I not? What am I uniquely good at? And what are my weak spots? And you hire for those weak spots. And so when I think about that original group of people, they were American. They had an amazing understanding of the American market as it pertained to denim. They were people that had excellent relationships that I didn't have with retailers and buyers and vendors. And so that's how I crafted the team. I was like, I know what I'm good at, but these are the places that I'm missing, and you fill in for those places.
Okay. So you want to talk first before I talk, MentorShelly? Because this was a section I was like, Emma, like, girl, why are you sitting there lying?
There's
Go
more
ahead.
to it than that, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and start off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she said to focus on the product and the marketing will take care of itself. I'm going to repeat that for everybody.
Ma'am.
She said to focus on the product and the marketing will take care of itself. Says the woman who latched onto the Kardashians like a parasite to get a $300 million net worth. I want you to listen to this again. She said to focus on the product and don't worry about the marketing at all, because the marketing will take care of itself. I am here to tell you that unless you are famous, and so yes, if you are famous and you have a bad product, then people aren't going to buy again. Yes, she is right about that. However, for you and I who are starting businesses, whether it's a side business, a full-time business, for example, Notary World, I don't know if she's still in here or not. There's no way whatsoever, no matter how great your product is, that you can grow a product, that you can grow a business, and you can make enough money to sustain yourself and get inventory if you need it or whatever else that you need in order to grow that business if you don't focus on marketing while you're focusing on product development. There's no way. There's no way. So, MentorShelly. Oh yeah. Oh, so a Purple Rain. Yeah, but she can say that because Kim and Chloe and that mama are the market. Exactly.
Ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. And Notary World is still here. So yes, exactly. Exactly. So go ahead, MentorShelly.
Yeah, she can say that because her marketing's already taken care of based on who she decided to pitch. That's like the built-in marketing engine right there. I don't know why. I think sometimes when people are talking and they say things in her mind, I guess, or she thinks that's the best way that it's going to come across like, oh, it's simple. Yeah, because you have Chloe and Kim Kardashian
You're like Princess
marketing
of the
your
Light said,
products.
Kim and Chloe are the marketing team.
Exactly.
They are, yes. And that momager. Don't think that momager is not a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, because she got to get her cut too. Hello.
She's getting her cut. That momager was like, I have put however many years into Kim into making her a star. Yeah, she's getting that cut.
Yeah, number one, Kim has no talent, but yet their names are still in the business world for years and years to come. So if they don't know how to do nothing else, they know how to market, even if it's
They do. They do. And they are successful at it. Now I will give Kim her just due with Skims. She understood how good Emma Greed and her husband and the business partner of the husband are as well with regards to pushing out a product. So they all used each other and they're all richer for it, fine. But yeah, Kim and Chloe and the mom, are the marketing team. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
not only that, no matter how great you could have a gold mine for a product, if you don't have the right marketing, you can forget it.
Yeah. Well, think about how many UMBWs put their heart and soul into a product and they can't get it off the ground to save their lives. And it's a good product or it's a decent product. So it's not just, it's not that. And I heard that and I was like, you've got to be kidding. This also lets you know that if anybody is ever pitching you or asking you to join their team and they say some BS like this, run. Don't walk, run. And I will even say, especially if you're the marketing person, because you're going to be the first person let go because they're like, oh, but it's all about the product. We don't need you. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yes, Purple Rain, run. Yes. So this is where we get into interviews as UMBWs and we're listening for certain things so we could hear this company doesn't have a chance. This manager isn't worth anything. This environment is going to be toxic, etc. So that way we can make the right decision about where we're going and where we're planting our feet, So,
yeah.
All right. Here is the part that everybody's talking about: work from home being a career killer. Let's listen to this and then we'll talk about it.
Telling you what 1, 2, 3 things I can do. I am showing you the way it has worked for me.
Yeah.
And I am honest about those things. And what I think is that work from home culture is a career killer for women. And let me explain to you why. Remembering that I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women that work for me.
Oh, and lady, she practiced at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds because I've heard like 4 or 5 interviews and she does that same line with all of the interviews. I don't know why. Lady, just say I have 300 women working for me. That would have been fine. But I want to say that because that irked me.
Now, what is happening is that we talk about all of this sort of upside of Zoom culture, but none of the rigidity of it. And no one will really tell you. But careers require proximity and visibility. You want a pay rise? You want the next promotion? You want the big corner office? Guess what? You need to be there. You might not want to hear it because it might be comfortable in your living room, but the facts are the facts. And I'm not here to sugarcoat information or to load women
so you
up
almost
with
feel
toxic
like it's
positivity.
a way to also, I don't want to say push us out, but it's almost slowly a way to be like, you're not needed, or you don't really, it's not there's no urgency because you're away.
It's eroding the potential for women to be successful.
Interesting.
Period. End off. Your boss won't tell you that because they're not allowed to tell you. The way we have built human resource culture in this country and the rest of the Western world is that no one can have that conversation with you. But the truth is the truth. It just is. If you're not there, if you're not in the room, there is going to be somebody else that is. And guess what? Like, they will get that opportunity over you. This is not about like whether or not these things are true or properly understood or whether they're right, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because I know that for some people, they're like, but wait a minute, I need this flexibility. The way that we all come into work now is that, and I run organizations that are very flexible. Nobody misses things that they need to do, a dentist appointment, an appointment with their kids, because they have to be in work from this hour to this hour. There's a level of flexibility that's assumed in the workplace right now. But I think it's a little bit like this idea that we've built for ourselves that you can listen your way to success. Like, if I just stack all these podcasts, like, I'm going to get really successful. No, ambition has to find you working, and work is just work.
I think about this.
Okay.
I'll go first on this one.
You'll go first on this. So
number one,
MentorShelly.
That's why I left that for last. Number one, HR doesn't prevent you from having these conversations. What it does is help you to stay out of liability waters when telling people what they should and should not do. If you have a particular culture and you're in an industry where work from home is not this big issue, then working from home is not the issue. It's what you do and how you affect, whether it be positively or negatively, the organization from the position that you work in and from what your impact is in that organization. This direct attack on work from home aggravates me to the core because your location does not determine your success. In certain industries, that might be true, but not for all industries. And the fact that she took it upon herself to blatantly speak on work from home in that regard just shows me that she's not as well-rounded as she thinks. And she's not speaking for a lot of professionals as she thinks. Number one, she's in the fashion industry. That speaks volumes right there. So that's my take
on the fashion industry.
Oh, so yes, because she's speaking from that premise. Because she's not speaking for a lot of IT people work from home. A lot of people in different sectors work in different locations. You cannot use a blanket statement like that and just think, oh, you're just speaking from a corporate space. The only reason you're in corporate spaces now, young ladies, because you have businesses now. When you're in fashion, yeah, you have to be there. But that is your specific industry. That's where she's speaking from. So miss me with all of that. That's my take on that.
You really feel.
Yeah.
So NC Worker, hello, good to see you. Purple Run is saying, oh, so Emma is that type that her job is her entire identity. Interesting. Yes, it is for her. I won't say it's her entire identity, but it's the majority of her identity. Yes, it is. Okay, so I agreed with you a lot more than I thought I would, but I still think she has a point. And this is what I mean by this. It depends on what industry you're in, right, and what corporate culture you're in. If you're in an industry and specifically in a company with a corporate culture where everybody else is at the job and you're working from home, then yes, you are more likely to miss out on those random promotable tasks that occur. you're more likely to miss out on those random um, conversations that happen ad hoc at the lunch table or at the water cooler. And I'm not talking about the gossip of what happened in Love and Hip Hop. I'm talking about like, hey, we're having this strategic problem. And all of a sudden, you've got 3 or 4 people at the water cooler or at the lunch table randomly figuring out that issue. And it's in those situations where you really do shine because you're most likely not going to get a FaceTime or a Zoom or something like that in those scenarios. She is right. I'm also going to say that depending on how young you are in your career and your working life, she is correct. When I was a young woman, I worked for a woman named Carolyn. And Carolyn, if I were not in the office, I would not know half of the stuff that I know today because it was randomly me walking into her office for a 5 minute, like, hey, I'm trying to figure this out. And I was like young in my career. I was like 25 years old at the time, but I was very young in doing like advanced financial analysis at the time. It was those little 5 minute conversations that I had with Carolyn that made me the person who I am today, where I can successfully work from home and I can successfully monkey branch because I got the basics in an office when I was 21, 22, 25, 27. I started working from home. I started working in our small business when I was about 31 years old. In that case, for especially for all of my young women, if you have the option of working from home or going into the office and you don't have kids, I cannot say this enough. If you don't hear anything from your Aunt Cheree or your cousin Cheree today, I want you to hear this. If you don't have kids and you're in your late teens, early 20s, go into the office. Go into the office. You will not, you will learn 3 to 5 times more being in the office than you will working from home. So that's what I wanted to say with regards to that. That's why I was saying that I agree with her in large part for certain people. Also, if you're trying to get into the C-suite, if you're trying to, we talked about this at the very beginning, you're trying to be part of that 1% in the C-suite, and the guys are golfing and they're, going wherever to lunches and on boats and stuff like that. Yeah, it's better for you to be there. It is. She is right about that. But she's not talking to everybody. And
No.
that's okay.
And I think that's part of the problem I have with it. It's the blanket statement for me.
Mm-hmm. This is why we're having this more nuanced conversation here, because not all UMBWs should be listening to everything Emma Greed says, because it may not, may not count for you. Now I'll say this: I'm a good mortgage loan officer, but honestly, the truth, MentorShelly, is that if I worked in an office with other mortgage loan officers, I would have learned things a lot faster than me working from home. And I'm a smart person. I'm not a dummy at all.
Right. Right.
But because I wasn't in the office when I first got started as a mortgage loan officer, yeah, I missed certain things. I didn't learn certain things until 2, 3 years into my career. Whereas if I were in the office with all the other top performers, I might have learned it in the first 6 months, So yeah, she is right about certain things. Anything else you want to say about this before we go to our final video for today?
I'm going to reserve that for another time.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, we're going to watch a UMBW talk about Emma Greed, and I have a dissenting opinion from her. which, y'all will probably figure out as well. Let's listen to this. And I do want to say what I'm going to say is not against this UMBW at all. I respect her opinion. I just don't think she's completely right. And I'm going to explain to you why I think the UMBWs need to think about what Emma is saying in a different way. So here we go.
One of my favorite Black colloquialisms is that a broken clock is right twice a day. And that's how I feel about Emma Grede, aka that Black lady that be with the Kardashians. Because while she may have looked at the clock and discerned the correct time, the clock is still broken, baby. So Miss Stephen Fetchit has been running around in Black spaces to tote white feminism and to tell us that all we have to do is be in proximity to power in order to be powerful.
That's not what she said.
Oh, you need to do the master's bidding. Like you do. So they have told the over 500,000 Black women who lost their jobs last year that, girl, your problem really was that you was just working from home, as if it was not structural oppression, racism, misogyny, a lack of proper benefits for women who are pregnant and parenting. To have told us that the problem was we just needed to bring our male boss some cookies and chit chat beside the water cooler is what we call, once again, doing the master's bidding, but you're good at that. And if you are a Black woman in particular who found utility in her advice, go off, sis. But just know that the clock is still broken. And so the benefits that you may experience will not translate to the masses. And being the kind of person from a marginalized group who says, no, let me just explain to you the rules. Because see, I know them kind people, them white people, them men, them straight people, they told me the rules. So let me just tell you the rules, because he Washington, let me just tell you the rules, and then we just gonna be better. Why would we do that when we could just get a new clock? It's called liberation. So a lot of people have taken.
So I wanted to talk about get a new clock. She said quite a few things in there, and I heard you whisper, MentorShelly, that's not what she said, and I agree with you. That wasn't what she said. There were three things in particular that this woman said, but I want to start off with why can't we just get a new clock? And if any of you listen to Themis as well, sometimes he'll say certain things like this as well. And I get frustrated because as a UMBW on Black women making money, one of the things that I always want to do with you ladies is tell you not the way things should be, but the way things are, and and how to navigate the way things are right now. Because there are many of us, many Black women, many professional Black women who will spend their lifetimes trying to tell you and I, well, we should be fighting for how things should be. And I do think that we should fight for things to be better. But in the meantime, what I don't want to end up is old, sick, and broke because I'm waiting for people to fix the clock, instead of saying, how do I navigate the system the way that it is right now so that I can make enough money to feed myself healthy food, to work out, to go to a good doctor, to invest, to have a home. Praise God that I have one, things like that. And listening to that professional Black woman who, I mean, she did a great job with her makeup. I loved it. I caution us with regards to the mentality of trying to fix the clock, instead of us asking, how do we navigate the professional world in such a way that we can win while still keeping our integrity and without us going crazy in the meantime? So MentorShelly?
I'll approach it the way Ashley Kirkwood approaches things. People are not going to move until there's pain, and the pain is going to have to hurt enough for them to make a change. You're absolutely right in that regard, where as much as we want things to change and be more fair, it's not. So look at what we have, look at the skills we have. How can I help you ease your pain? Offer that to you for a fee, of course, because it's not for free. And resolve their problems while you're getting paid. Literally, even in the job market, when you're making an offer to a company, or you're providing a service to an individual or to a corporation, you have to structure it in a way that, number one, they feel like you're helping them resolve their problem, and you are also you're offering solutions that's going to help them resolve their problem. So it's not, yes, I would love to live in idealistic land, but we don't. So make the best of what it is that you have in your arsenal. Always work to improve it, of course. But also, instead of, like, yes, the clock may be the clock may be right 2 times a day, or whatever scenario that she used, which some of her points aren't wrong. I'm not saying that by no stretch of the imagination, but we have to focus on what we can change and how we can maneuver to make things better for ourselves. Not, oh my gosh, this system is so unfair. It's always been unfair. We know people in history and currently that's making history and that's making a difference to push past where people intended for us to be versus where we actually are. And that's a decision that can be made on an individual basis and on a group basis, but it starts with you as an individual. So look at what you have, what you can offer, and how much you can get for it. Do some market research, of course. AI makes that very easy these days. And push forth and go forward with what you have, so you can get what you want and get what you need, so you can truly make a difference, because a lot of things that we really want to do requires money.
Say that again.
Right? Money answers all things, not the love of money, but money. If you want to move some political things forward, if you want to put new things in place, all of those political movements require money and collaboration. So let's work on getting money, so that we can go ahead and do some good with the money that we get.
Yeah.
So, it's not about, I'm not saying she's wrong about the clock now, but we can't focus on the clock. Some things we can change, some things we're going to waste our time focusing on.
And Purple Rain has brought it to my attention that the woman who was speaking is a civil rights lawyer. So that's her point of view.
That makes a whole lot more sense.
That makes more sense. And then she says in here, the rest of the video, she had more nuanced points. So, okay. Well, I don't know if she put together her own, because I could tell it was different points of her doing her makeup. So it sounded like she had the more nuanced points in between those sections that we saw from her. However, if you only saw that short and you didn't see that she was a civil rights lawyer and, she had more nuanced points, you would walk away from the Emma situation thinking, for example, she said that 500,000 Black women lost their jobs and it was because they didn't bring the white man cookies. Like, no. If you were listening on this channel, I kept warning the 500,000 Black women that the government was broke and to find something else. I was waving the red flag or white flag
2 or 3 years ago.
2 or 3 years before Trump got back in the office. Erica has been talking about it. Tam at Women in Linux has been talking about it. Other people have been talking about it in Black circles, in Black professional circles. So no, we're not naive enough to think that 500,000 Black women lost their jobs because of, racism, white supremacy, right? I'm not saying that didn't have anything to
That's a
do with it.
factor, though.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
However,
Right.
that wasn't the overwhelming reason why. That wasn't. The overwhelming reason why is because they're trying to just slash jobs in order. Now, whatever they're doing in the Middle East, we all know that that's a whole bunch of BS as well, right? So they're trying to take money from the left-hand pocket, put in the right-hand pocket. I'm with you there. But we have to be smarter as UMBWs and see the train coming and say, well, let me get off the track now because the train is 18 miles away, but I know it's coming. Let me get off the track now. Let me figure out something else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So she said 500,000 Purple Rain. So that's why I was repeating what she said. But yeah, I did hear it was 600,000. So yes. So, that's a conversation about Emma Greed. I want to thank everybody for coming back to Black Women Making Money, for MentorShelly for being my wing woman for the evening. What are your final thoughts, MentorShelly, as we kind of wrap up for this evening?
Emma has her point of view, and I respect it for what it is.
Mhm.
But also, at the end of the day, as upperly mobile Black women, you already know you have. If already have an established career path, get one. If you don't already have businesses or investments on the side, start doing that right now. If you listen to Cheree or myself or others in the space, in this business and personal finance and economically enriching space, know that decisions that you make now are going to affect your next 5-10 years. So make those decisions wisely to enrich yourself economically so you can make the changes, or you can at least contribute to making those changes one step at a time. But it starts with you. It starts with, are you going to make a difference in the job that you're in? Is your personal brand going to be a problem solver or a problem starter? I don't know I'm sure you don't want to be the one that's starting the problem. I would hope you want to be the one that solves the problem. And of course, with all of what's going on in our economy, with different, 600,000 plus Black women losing your jobs in the public sector over the last, year or so.
It's been a couple of years now.
It's been a couple of years now.
Mhm.
A lot of us not for those of us that are still working in public or private sectors, make the best of it, but also work on developing other income streams if you have not already done so. 2, 3, 4, 5, however many that you need, however many that you need to at least work on or get going, do it. Because you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up and positioning yourself in a place that you can truly make a difference in your local community, in your neighborhood, in your city. Maybe not at the state level, but start where you are. Don't not just say anything because I can't do. No, you can do what you decide to do. So if that's on the job front, if that's in the business front, if that's on the investment front, whatever it is, as far as mortgage needs, you guys know where you can come. For career needs, you know where you can come as far as I'm concerned. Or if you know of other, needs that we have other partnering friends in this space, will definitely refer you. But at the end of the day, make a decision and act on it. Don't just sit and twiddle your thumbs and go, I don't know what to do. Because Emma made a decision and she used the network she had and worked her butt off to get where she got. I'll give her that. I'll give her the hustle. I'll give her the grind, because she did not necessarily out the mud, but she operated and implemented heavily Whatever it is that she wanted, she went after it and she got it. Some of her opinions I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand them. And at the end of the day, you have to take action on your own and make your economic life what you want, because nobody's going to do it for you. And I'll end there.
Yeah. So with Emma, I just say, take what you need, leave the rest. And
Right.
that's with anybody, including with me. If I said
Yeah.
something this evening and you disagree with it, no problem. Take what you need and leave the rest.
Right.
My practical advice has been and will always be on this channel. We need skills and networks.
Yep.
We need to be at the top 10% of the skills that you need to have in order to do that job really, really well, right? We need to have a personal brand. This is where Emma was on some BS. Like, yes, the marketing is important as well. If you're an employee, it's important who knows you, who knows what you do, and like who likes you. That's important. Like, you have to market yourself. And the best way for us to market ourselves is through networking. At least once a week if you are child free, and at least once a month if you have children. Networking with people in your industry. I've said this before, that if for whatever reason you begin to work in an environment that becomes toxic, you need to be able to pick up your purse, walk out, make 30 to 50 phone calls or text messages or DMs, and have a job offer within 3 days. If you aren't that chick, and your boss knows you're not that chick, and your manager knows you're not that chick, and the C-suite knows you're not that chick, you are opening up yourself to be abused at work. And I don't mean physically. So I want you to be in a position where everybody's like, you know what, we're not going to try Shelly, because Shelly could pick up her purse and leave us high and dry, or Purple Rain, or, Notary World, NC Worker, all of you who are in here, we need you to be the same way, because that's a true UMBW. So with that, that is it for me. I hope you learned something this evening. You got something from the conversation. And we'll be back next week. Sundays, 5 p.m. is our new time, ladies, to come and have these kinds of conversations. So, MentorShelly, thank you so much for being my +1 today. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Take care.